You're watching ABC4 News, celebrating 75 years.
Welcome back. Allies pledging more weapons to Ukraine. This comes as Russia ramps up attacks against Ukrainian civilians. Washington correspondent Raquel Martin explains what this pledge means for the country.
Good evening. Well, this is certainly welcome news for the people of Ukraine who are now entering into year 2 of this brutal war with Russia. But the big outstanding question is, will Germany send battle tanks to Ukraine? Right now, the president of Ukraine says those tanks are critical in their effort to defend themselves in the next coming months.
This is not a moment to slow down.
U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says the U.S. and allies are committed to helping Ukraine, despite failing Friday to reach a deal to send battle tanks to the country.
Time remains a Russian weapon. We have to speed up.
Earlier, in a virtual call, Ukraine's president pleaded with Western defense leaders for heavier artillery.
Hundreds of thank you are not hundreds of tanks.
Poland says it stands ready to send Ukraine German-made Leopard tanks, but Germany is blocking the move over concerns Russia would use it as an excuse to retaliate. Friday, National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby defended Germany's stance.
We aren't arm twisting.
And the U.S.'s objection to send additional tanks of its own.
Very expensive to operate, very expensive to fuel, very expensive to maintain, and it requires a lot of training.
But the Biden administration says the latest $2.5 billion U.S. aid package to Ukraine will be a huge help.
And 500 armored vehicles, including Bradleys, Stryker combat vehicles, mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles. What we've said is we're going to continue to help them defend themselves, defend their sovereignty, win back their territory, as they should, as they must.
In the meantime, pressure is mounting on Germany to send battle tanks to Ukraine. Today, the defense minister of Germany said they will decide that as soon as possible. For now in Washington, Raquel Martin, back to you.
A high school classroom controversy in Florida involving an African-American studies class this morning. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis blocking the AP course, saying the class would violate state law. In a letter to the College Board, which oversees AP courses, Florida's Department of Education rejecting approval of the course, saying it's inexplicably contrary to Florida law and significantly lacks educational value.
I don't know what the basis of this thought is. It's downright painful to people of color.
The new college-level course takes students from pre-colonial Africa to modern protest movements, and the rejection follows the governor's effort to limit discussion of race in school. This course is already being taught in more than 60 schools across the country, with more planning to add it in the next school year. Floodwaters still remaining in parts of California after 32 trillion gallons of rain and snow fell since Christmas. Only about 230,000 homes and other buildings have flood insurance policies in the state, which are separate from homeowners insurance. This means only about 2% of properties are covered against flooding. The federal government covering the bulk and private insurers covering the rest, but many not covered at all.
People don't think they need flood insurance. That people think, well, the only people who need flood insurance are people who live right on the beach or somebody who lives, you know, on the banks of a river that has a history of flooding. And so that's the primary thing. People just don't think they need it. They don't think about it.
In reality, far more people are threatened by rushing or rising water. When you buy a home, Federal Emergency Management Agency maps tell you if there is a high risk for flood or if you're in a flood zone. If it is, and you have a federally backed mortgage, you are required to purchase flood insurance. The costs on average $950 a year.
Time now for Utah's most accurate forecast with Alana Brophy. Weather rates certified 11 years in a row.
Glenn, we missed you at Sundance, but I have to say I'm a little jealous. You were way warmer down there in the valley. Temperatures in the single digits for the overnight expected in Park City, but we did have a few degrees warmer in the Salt Lake Valley. We're starting with a gorgeous photo coming out of Magna. Scott Taylor catching this one. Great conditions, quiet conditions in the north. A different story for southern and eastern Utah today, but you can see absolutely that stunning shot from Scott Taylor. Carol Dyer catching this one. gorgeous sun halo. You know that happens when the light's refracted on the ice crystals in the upper atmosphere. Carol, we always love when you send us your photos. We love all of your weather photos, weather at abc4.com. We also picked up snow in the southern portion of the state. I told you it was a bit of a different day. Drier in the north, but snow down there in the south. Incredible picture from Bryce Canyon. The hoodoos covered in snow, and a decent amount of it. They picked up close to half a foot in Bryce Canyon. Looking at the snow totals, 5.7 inches there, a healthy amount. It's been snowing on and off throughout the day in Cedar City. The latest accumulation was the 3 inches that you see there. Kanab getting the same number, but we know Parowan, just up the road from Cedar, picking up more than 4. So we can expect that number goes up just a little bit. It wasn't just Iron County, Washington County getting in on the mix when it comes to the snow. That doesn't happen every day. Diamond, Dameron Valley getting more than 2 inches there, and we even saw some light snow in Washington City. It melted by the afternoon, but it was there. And that's a big change. All right, cold temperatures were out there today, and we know that we're trapping cold air in valleys. When we look at air quality with a quieter pattern for our Saturday, some of our valleys will actually see moderate air. And that's because of inversion setting up, trapping cold air on the valley floor, and we get elevated particulate matter. Expecting that in Cache Valley. But also, Uinta and Duchesne County have been stuck there for days, and that will be the case for our Saturday with compromised air. Okay, so Saturday looking good with a little more sunshine and quiet conditions. That northerly flow is going to keep us cold, but as we kind of step through the future cast here, it shows you that by Sunday, we get a storm system that's going to take aim at a part of the Beehive State. It's northern Utah. Logan to Nephi has a chance of seeing some light snow accumulations with this quick hitter of a storm. It comes through, and with cold air in place, those accumulations could make it icy pretty quickly. Not expecting more than an inch or 2 in our valleys. Our mountains could see anywhere from 3 to 6 with that quick hitter, but it will be gone just as fast as it comes in, and then drier conditions setting up as we head into next week. I'd like to say warmer conditions, but that won't be the case. Check out your Saturday numbers here throughout the state, and you are seeing daytime highs struggling to hit freezing in northern Utah. We won't see that in the mountain valleys, and we will be below average really throughout the state. Mix of sun and clouds expected in central Utah, and finally drying out in the south, and we will be cold and below average, but we will be dry. St. George 7-day, kind of showing you that gradual warming trend in Washington County. They dry out and they stay that way, but temperatures running below seasonal norms, but they will get their sunshine down there in the southwest corner of the state. The Wasatch Front shows you that storm on Sunday. Best chance afternoon and into the evening for that. And then the models want to bring in the chance of another system midweek. And so we're keeping an eye on how that storm will take shape. Notice those daytime highs really feeling like January, right around the freezing point. Those 30s kind of want to hang on. Not too bad, but we'll take any bit of moisture that we can get. Staying chilly up in Summit County. Glenn, keep it warm for us in the studio. Back to you.